What's up, everybody? Captain Mel here, and we're back with the follow-up to the Destiny video, the Bungie video from the other day. This one is been a couple of days. Uh, just really wanted to take a look at some things going on, and of course, BlizzCon happened, and we'll have a different video on BlizzCon. It was pretty good this year. Anyway, I want to read the official response that the Destiny 2 dev team released. I want to say this went out about November 2nd, so let's talk about this. So we're going to read this first, then I'll give my thoughts, and we'll move forward. This is going to be the last video I'm going to make on this, unless some other news comes out. So, our path forward. This has been one of the most difficult weeks in our studio's history, as we've parted ways with people we respect and admire. We've spent this week supporting one another, including those who are at the studio, as well as friends and colleagues who are no longer here. We want to acknowledge the feedback and concerns you have about Lightfall and recent seasons, as well as your responses to the reveal of the final shape. We know we have lost a lot of your trust. Destiny needs to surprise and delight. We haven't done this enough, and that's going to change. To us, the path forward is clear. We need to make the final shape an unforgettable Destiny experience. We want to build something that will be regarded alongside the best games we've ever made. A fitting culmination that honors the journey we've been on together for the past 10 years. Forsaken, the Witch Queen, the Taken King, those are the standard bearers we aim to live up to. We are intensely focused on exceeding your expectations for the final shape. Destiny 2 has more than 650 dedicated teammates pouring all their energy and expertise into delivering this epic moment and its subsequent episodes. In the weeks ahead, you'll be hearing more from us about what's next on the short-term horizon, beginning with our next season in late November. Afterwards, we'll begin to unpack our team's bigger, bolder, and brighter vision for the final shape, as well as the bridge we plan to build to take us all out of this darkness and into the light. See you Starside, the Destiny 2 dev team. Okay. So nothing that addresses the layoffs, really, aside from the first two sentences of this. They did not announce the delay. They did not deny the delay. They didn't really say too much about the company as a whole or a lot about what led up to this. Look, as I said in the previous video, we know that there's been a lot of layoffs in the video game, in video games this year. And while it's been a banner year for quality video games to come out, and let's be honest, it's been a real long time since we've had this many good games release in 1 year. This is just not a good. This is just bad. The way this went down was bad. People getting called in to supposedly come in for a meeting, only to find out that their, access cards or their passwords or things were no longer active, and just told to clean out their desks and leave and not to say anything to anybody. So, from what I understand, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what Paul Tassi had to say on this. Said that originally it was said that management said other levers were looked at to avoid layoffs. When employees asked if one lever was executive compensation, they were told no, and that it would not happen at the company. And they said literally internally, really no one is blaming Sony for this, even management. Some employees were told that if the Sony buyout did not happen, that the current Destiny 2 performance, the studio itself would have been in jeopardy, and they were still independent. Now, I also need to report that apparently the money for the new building that's gone up that really didn't play a factor into these layoffs. Still, it seems kind of, well, to me that doesn't make any sense, but I have to, give them not give them slack, but I have to kind of take their word for it a little bit because I haven't seen anything to prove otherwise. However, according to Paul, and again, Paul Tassi of Forbes, you can go read the articles and look him up on Twitter. Bungie has gotten back to me after the publication to say that Pete Parsons and some execs gave up annual bonuses before this, but that was not shared with the others at the company until yesterday. Unclear the amount. So we still don't know how much. Now, in the history of video games, the former CEO of Nintendo during the Wii U days, when the profits were at an all-time low for Nintendo, he voluntarily took a pay cut of 50% to ensure that nobody would lose their jobs at Nintendo. Thusly, I have never seen any American company do that. So, so far, there's really only been one CEO that's actually, kind of been worth his salt. And unfortunately, I believe they're no longer with us in the world of the living. So, really, what I have to say here is about this situation is that it does appear to be that mismanagement was clearly on the thing. Now, this is coming through DMG. Mismanagement, nearly non-existent timelines, overly ambitious development goals, requirements, a lack of prioritization and fixes on what we should be looking at. Not the folks who do everything they can to eliminate the issues with content before it reaches your hands. And that's the truth. Like, numerous times I have heard that the employees wanted to fix a lot of the issues that players were having in the game, and none of that was acted upon. The bottom line here, and the thing I think the way I'm going to wrap this up is simply put, I am not optimistic about the future of Destiny as a franchise. I mean, it all hinges on how well the final shape lands, and if it doesn't land well, then, we'll see what happens. Now, that's not to say I don't think Destiny 2 is going to go away. I believe that Destiny 2 is going to be around as long as it continues to generate money for Bungie and Sony. But I will say this. My honest belief as to what's going on here is that, yes, obviously Sony had some part of the amount of layoffs going in internally in Sony and its subsidiary companies is hard to avoid, and it is something to be looked at. The stepping down of Sony's current CEO in March, who will be departing the company then. I mean, look, let's just call it what it is. For the better part of the last year, Sony directed a lot of its energies towards the legal case battling Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which is a fact. And I think they didn't anticipate. And also, I would say, not only does that distract from what's going on as far as the gaming industry kind of slowing down a bit since COVID, a lot of the COVID boom of video games had slowed down, but also you have to look at it in terms of the fact that, a lot of this, quite frankly, a lot of what's going on here is just part of what's been happening. And you can't avoid that being a part of it. Now, I'm not saying that we have to accept this. I think that the devs and everybody there deserve better, not only at Bungie, but across the entire industry. That's why you'll hear people calling for unitization. I do think that is something that needs to be looked at. I think that the devs definitely deserve, to have their interests looked at, not just be like, oh, well, the executive management is being greedy. Which, listen, let's not lie to ourselves. We know corporate management, executive management has traditionally had had very high salaries with, and where they don't do they don't do the work. Quite frankly, they don't do the work. They're not the ones on the front lines coding, bug fixing, bug squashing, doing the development, writing the things. These are guys that are sitting in an office that are giving directions, probably overseeing, but aside from that, not putting in the same amount of hours that the other people are, but instead they are reaping majority of the monetary benefits. So let's not let that sneak by us. So regardless of the fact that they gave up bonuses, that still doesn't make up for I'm sure the 6 or 7 digit salaries that these people were making that could have easily been, even temporarily cut to avoid layoffs. And I don't know what actually happened with that, apparently 1 point some odd billion dollars that was used, supposed to be earmarked for employee retention. I don't know how in less than a year that manages to disappear and not, in fact, go for that. So, yeah, that's really it. It does, I'm going to say this. I hope Destiny stays around. I don't see it going anywhere, but I do want to say that I know there were a lot of disconnects happening over this past weekend. And I really feel like that there was probably not a small portion that was due to either cheaters or DDoSing. And, if you're a DDoSer, you're a piece of garbage. I'm going to say that to you right now. Especially on top, adding insult to injury. It's not the players that are doing this. You're not hurting the devs really by doing this. You're really hurting like the entire community, kind of get bent. So, other than that, unfortunately, I wish I had some better information, better news, I should say, for you guys, but I don't. But I promised I would give you an update over what's going on. There will be some more news on a different topic. We're going to be making something to do with. We're going to be making something to do with the entire BlizzCon, so we'll talk about that as time goes on. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Of course, if you see what we've got, if you like what the videos we got going on here, let me know in the comment below what you'd like to see on the channel and things like that. And we'll be back again. So my name is Captain Mel. I want to thank you again for taking a little bit of time out of your day. Join me here if you like what you see. Subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button to know when we put out a new video. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.